Woburn. I'm your host, Samantha Stone, and we're going to welcome Mayor Scott Galvin back from vacation. Welcome, Scott.
Hey, thanks, Samantha. Good to be back.
Glad to have you back. Now, I know before you left, there was lots of budget things happening. Did that didn't get officially passed in your absence yet, did it?
The capital budget was approved. Yep.
Oh, excellent.
Yep. So the council, I just signed that. I have 10 days to sign their approvals. So I'm just finishing up signatures on the approvals from their last meeting, the last meeting they had. So yeah, everything's been approved. We had a good meeting and discussed the capital, and they were in favor of all the capital expenditures.
Fantastic. Well, those are great investments for the city. So
They are. Yep.
that is good. You should go on vacation more often when things like that.
I know
happen, right?
sometimes it's easy. It's easy when you're not around.
I love when things like that happen.
Yeah.
That's great. I did want to talk a little bit about recreational marijuana zoning, because that's something that a lot of people have asked about. And we just touched on, we know that there's a proposal in front of City Council. Do you want to talk a little bit about what has been proposed? And then I have some questions I can ask.
So it's pretty basic and straightforward. Right now, the city has one medicinal marijuana facility that's up at the end of Commerce Way, just before you get onto Presidential Way. And it's zoned in what's called the IP2 zone. It's a small zone. The recreational marijuana is also a zoning amendment, and it would allow for recreational marijuana in the IP2 zone, which again is a small zone in the what would that be? The northern corner. We'll call it the northeast corner of the city. Small area, and under the zoning change and under the state law, you're only allowed to have 10% of the number of liquor license that you currently have. So we'd be limited to just two recreational facilities. We're only looking for one. That's all we want to do, and that's all that's proposed. And there is the issue is marijuana is now illegal, as you know, Samantha.
Yes.
7 years ago, there was a statewide ballot that legalized marijuana. The City of Woburn's vote was very slight in the negative. In other words, there was maybe 100 vote swing, 200 votes to the negative to not legalize marijuana. So my thought was, the city was very, city leaders, city councils, mayors were very smart to proceed cautiously and not allow any recreational facilities in the city because of the unknown about, what would come with it, whether it's, vandalism, danger, any of that stuff. We've had 7 years to see what's happened in other cities and towns. Had numerous occasions with mayors, town managers in other cities, chief of police, and predominantly the answer comes back that there's absolutely has been zero problems with recreational facilities. In fact, our chief and many other chiefs in the state have said it's a much safer way to regulate marijuana and to regulate getting marijuana into the hands of residents. It's protected from the growth right up to the final sale. So basically you're taking away the potential that somebody in the city could buy marijuana, from I would say illegally or from a dealer, and it could be fentanyl or something else in it that would be far worse for somebody to get than when it's regulated. You know what you're getting. It's highly regulated by the Cannabis Commission. So we feel there's a much safer way to get that into the residents' hands and to allow them to smoke or however they feel to get the marijuana, whether it's ingestibles or whatever. Much safer way for our constituents to be consuming.
Yeah.
And not only
I'll correct for those. So edibles for those who.
Yeah.
Scott is not a clear consumer of edibles. But I think, thank you for bringing that up. I think that's a really important point. I know some people have also raised concerns about access to children or those who don't qualify. And if you've never been to a dispensary, understand the concern. But I would encourage people to visit one, even if you don't plan to purchase, because they are very strict and very regulated and multiple checkpoints of checking IDs. My old 50-year-old face still gets checked every time and multiple places. So I know
that's an excellent point, Samantha. And if you if people do want to check out the medicinal marijuana, which is slightly different, but it's still the same concept. Highly regulated security, and there's virtually no chance that somebody under 21 is going to be able to get served marijuana. I say virtually. I say it's almost, I would never say never, but it's virtually impossible with the security they have and what they make you go through. So I would urge, as you have, people to check out the medicinal one in Woburn, or go to a recreational one in one of the communities around us. And there aren't that many close. I think there's 10 or 12. There might be one in Billerica and Salem, a few others. We could get a list, but we certainly urge them to go and take a look. And the other real positive for this is the sales tax, the revenue that will be generated for the city, which is always helpful. Anytime you can identify for the city a new source of revenue to help offset your expenses, it's a plus. And in this case, we're conservatively estimating $750,000 in revenue for the city.
Addiction is a real thing outside of just marijuana, but in general, we know that is a real challenge. And a lot of the people who voted against it did it because they are concerned about, they had loved ones who've been addicted. They have people who in their lives who have struggled with different substances. Have we discussed a portion of that revenue going towards addiction education or treatment facilities or anything to help those who might not responsibly be using it with the intention and spirit of the law as it's been intended?
We have not, Samantha, but I do want to let you know that, and we could probably do a whole nother show on this. As part of the recent opioid settlement, there are a couple through the Attorney General. There were a couple of the drug companies who were ordered to pay billions of dollars to a fund. And now the City of Woburn is going to be a beneficiary of those funds. And over the next 15 years, roughly, we're going to get about $750,000. And we already in our budget fund about $35,000 for the Drug Coalition Awareness Group. So between those two, the plan is, and I have to go in front of the City Council and talk more about this, but as I say, I think it'll be a whole show and a good one. We want to upgrade the position from a part-time to a full-time, and really make the position not just, and I don't say not just, but it would include mental illness and the drug awareness, to combine that into one position in City Hall for the benefit of Woburn residents and city employees. So we're excited about that position, and it's in the draft stages now, but the funding has been put in place by the opioid settlement, plus our contribution, the City Council's contribution in the budget. And some of these funds, as you mentioned, could also be used to supplement that budget. So I think it's a real opportunity to address mental illness and drug addiction both at the same time.
That's wonderful. Thank you for bringing that up. That's good to know. And, no matter where people stand on this issue, those who are comfortable with the zoning changes, those who are not, you should, of course, continue to let your city council representatives understand your concerns and opportunities and how you view things, because they're discussing this right now. So,
and I would urge them to call my office as well. And if they have any concerns, and Samantha, I have not had any calls in my office. I know, speaking to some of the aldermen, there've been a few have been contacted, but mainly there really hasn't been. I'll let the aldermen speak for themselves, but only speaking for myself, I haven't had any calls opposed to the zoning change to allow recreation. And it's one. It'd be a max of 2, but I just don't see how 2 could fit up in that zone. So we're looking at one recreational store, and again, the safety of selling it in a controlled environment is far more beneficial and safer for our residents than buying it on the street.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. And I know that our chief of police has shared their support for that recommendation for the safety of the marijuana.
He has, and again, residents could call the police department as well. And the chief is very accessible and always gets back to constituents. So I'm sure he'd certainly let them know his feeling on it. And I can't stress enough, please, if somebody wants to call or come down to my office, I'm here to talk to them.
Great.
One way or another. Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you for that update. Two other things I wanted to chat with you about. Quick check-in, teacher contracts. I know teachers are going to be in school no matter kind of what happens, but we
Yep.
ideally would love those contracts to be in place. Do we have progress on that? I know you
We
were
did
out
have a pretty productive meeting before I went on vacation. We're scheduled for another one tomorrow. So we'll see how it goes tomorrow, but we're making progress.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. And the last thing I wanted to ask you about was there was a notice put out on the website. I'm not sure if it was communicated in other means about West Nile virus being found in Woburn mosquitoes. And that might have been while you were out. So if you don't have
Yeah,
information.
it would have been while I'm out. I'll discuss that with the Board of Health. They're very proactive as far as treating for mosquitoes. I know Jack Freilich does a pretty good job with that, treating for the mosquitoes to kill the larvae and whatnot. So he's been pretty proactive with that. I'll catch up with him tomorrow. We can talk about it at the next meeting, or we could, have him on the show or someone from the Board of Health next week.
Yeah, I would love to just understand, sort of what triggered it.
Yep.
Is it ongoing testing that we do anyways? We know that West Nile virus has been in Massachusetts for
Yeah.
years, but if there's any other precautions and things. So we can chat about that. Anything else going on that you wanted to touch base on before we wrap up with you?
No, I think that, just those two and the two bigger issues right now, again, being the settlement with the opioid companies. We could talk about that, give you the details on that. And again, the zoning change for retail marijuana is a good one. Also, there is a vigil on Thursday that, Carmen Lucchese for Justin's Voice has had that vigil for opioid awareness. And for those who passed due to opioids, he's got a vigil that he has the last Thursday of every August. That's scheduled for this Thursday at 7 p.m. if people are interested in going.
Excellent. Is that outside City Hall?
It's right on the Common.
I'm coming. Great.
And
Thank you
that's
for
run by
mentioning.
Carmen Lucchese from Justin's Voice.
Thank you for mentioning that, because I was not aware of that. So we'll definitely keep an eye out for that. That's wonderful. And just a passing, I'm sorry, please go ahead.
And we've got the purple lights on for that and the purple flags. So that's purple's a color. We just had that, for the Purple Heart community, but it's also for this vigil as well.
It's a great color.
Yeah,
it stands out in Woburn. And this is just to mention for those who are watching, I know there's a lot of paving going on in the city. The city does have a schedule that's posted about when paving and things are happening. So I've had a few questions. If you're interested, it's easy to find on the city website, and there, we'll throw a link down there if we can grab that for you. Good. And make sure people know, what streets are getting done when, so
good
they can
point. Thank you.
Work out. Awesome. Thanks for joining me, Scott.
Thanks, Samantha. See you.
I'm pleased to introduce our next guest, Darren Johnson, for the Boy Scouts. Welcome, Darren.
Thank you, Samantha. How are you today?
Excellent. I'm so glad that you've joined us. I know that I don't know enough about the Boy Scout structure, but I know that you are representing the Spirit of Adventure Council. Can you tell us how that fits into the overall Boy Scout program? Is it just a piece of a particular aspect of it?
Yeah, so councils, overall, Scouts are divided into councils all throughout the country. So Spirit Adventure Council essentially goes from Milton, Massachusetts up to the New Hampshire border. And it basically goes 95. So we cover Waltham and all that area and up to Lowell and anything over to the coast.
Fantastic. So I know that you recently received a $250,000 grant from the Cummings Foundation to make some of that programming more accessible to those who might not otherwise be able to participate. So tell us a little bit about what that grant was all about.
Yeah, it's actually the second time that we received a grant from the Cummings Foundation. We received one about 5 years ago for $100,000, which was really, both of them are designed to help us serve the inner city kids and make scouting accessible to everybody. And the Cummings Foundation has been a big supporter of scouting. Mr. Cummings was actually a scout growing up as well, which really has a connection from that aspect of it. But yeah, so our program is designed to be able to make it convenient for as many families as possible. So for example, in Woburn specifically, we have the Base Camp Express. So opening up the Base Camp Express, which is a small indoor program area right there in the corner of 95 and 93 in the Cummings facility there. And it's opened up to scouts and actually non-scouts as well for programs such as woodworking and for programs, nature programs. We use a little pond that's right there. And it's designed to basically to make it easier introduction to the scouting curriculum.
That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. For those, I know the Boy Scouts programs have really evolved a lot since my youngest is 20. So when they were involved in Cub Scouts, it was a long time ago. And I know it looked really different than it does right now. Tell us a little bit about who the Boy Scouts serve today.
So that's a great question. So the Boy Scouts serve, it's really both boys and girls now. So in 2019, scouting went co-ed, and so the Boy Scouts of America opened up the program to both boys and girls. Now, girls have been involved in scouting through the older programs for years upon years, but really in 2019 it opened up to all the different programs that we offer, which is really exciting. I've got 2 daughters, and I've been in scouting my entire life, and so I'm their scout master. In fact, I just returned from New Mexico by leading 10 girls. Actually, they led it, and I just was the adult supervision for 10 girls. For 12 days for 100 miles of hiking in the New Mexico mountains at Philmont Scout Ranch. And
wow,
so
you just have to pause for a second there. That's amazing. That is such an incredible experience. Wow.
It was absolutely hence the beard at the moment, because that's actually left over from the Philmont experience, and they were incredible. And so up until 2019, experiences such as the Philmont experience, or even scouting here in Base Camp Express or New England Base Camp, or our facilities up in Rhode Island or New Hampshire, were only available to boys. So now scouting's opened up to everybody, and that's kind of exciting. It's interesting. Most of our units have boy and girls are connected with the ones, and then some of the units, such as mine, is really just girls who wanted to experience the program that was offered for the Boy Scouts, but wasn't actually available to them. And so that's how they formed and asked if we could form a troop, and really made it possible.
That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that with us. I know when we hear the name Boy Scouts, we don't automatically realize the evolution the organization has gone through. What are some of the things that are coming up in the fall? I know it's sort of back to school time, so maybe not as exciting as 12 days hiking in Mexico or New Mexico, but tell us the kinds of things that people might participate in.
Yeah, so the fall has a couple of different focus areas that we are starting, which we've offered before, but we're really getting them up and going again. So we have a STEM program, so science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and we add in STEAM. Though officially it's a STEM, we added the STEAM, which is adds the arts program in there. So really in the fall, almost every single weekend, we have a STEAM program that they can participate in. That's everything depending on the age of the participant, anything from robotics to genetics to almost pretty much all the different aspects about. And then we believe that we are part of the philosophy of the scouting curriculum is that you put the stuff in the kids' hands and they will learn and they'll have fun and they'll be engaged. So things like our woodworking program, which has been a popular program that we've run over and over and over again. We're going to run it again because it is popular. And honestly, kids don't get the opportunity to bang on nails and in a safe environment. And so we will run that type of program as well. And the other one, which is always our biggest program every single year, is the outdoor cooking program, which is interesting to me because I grew up learning how to cook on the fire and doing all that kind of stuff. So every year we run it, every year it's a huge program, and we set it up all throughout Eastern Massachusetts, but we also run 2 weekends specifically at the Cummings facility in Woburn, where we set up in the parking lot. They'll be able to come experiment. They get to learn how to cook. They get to learn how to see what it's like to be able to do it. And it's always fun for families to come and experience and try some new food and hopefully learn something as well.
That's super fun. Starting campfires is one of my children's favorite things that they do. So that's fantastic. I love it. Thank you so much for joining me. Before I let you go, I do want to ask for those families who might not yet be involved in some of these programs and they want to figure out where our local chapters are here in Woburn and who do they connect with and how do they learn more? Where can they best do that?
So 2 different areas. They can actually go to beascout.org. You type in the Woburn zip code and it'll give you all the different options. So in Woburn as well as that surround Woburn. So they'll be able to find the location and the date and the time that really works the best for them. So beascout.org is the easiest. They also can contact the council office that's located in Woburn. They can call them or they can go to the website and they'll be able to get the directly for that information. The website for that is scoutspirit.org. And either one of those will be able to help them find the right unit for them. There's several units in Woburn and definitely surrounding areas as well. So we always encourage people to look around. Every unit's a little bit different and offers program. It's all the scouting curriculum, but it offers how they offer it is maybe a little bit different. So take a look around and find the right one for you and for the kids and for the family.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us, Darren. Congratulations on the grant. It sounds like it's going to great use. I appreciate it.
It is. And thank you for having us.
Fantastic. I'm so excited to welcome Marlene and Carol because we're talking game shows and winning and traveling to Ireland and all kinds of awesome stuff. Welcome, Carol and Marlene.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm so excited because it is awesome to see Woburn Home Time Pride win and represent and do all this. Carol, tell us a little bit about the show you were on and like how you got there.
It's Beat Shazam. It's a musical game show. It's hosted by Jamie Foxx and his daughter Corinne is the DJ. It's been on about 5 years and I've watched it from the beginning. And I have told Marlene over the years, I'm putting our names in. And she's like, yeah. Well, I did. Yeah. I did a year ago in June. And I think, was it Marlene, October? I got a text saying, can you? Yep. So I called her and she thought it was crazy. But how many times we went, like 6 auditions?
Yeah, I think we went on 6 or 7, Carol, and they were like over an hour long each.
Yeah. We would get moved from one producer to the other, play the game. So
I have to tell you, I'm super impressed because I love music, but I never know what I'm listening to. Like I would be the absolute worst person at this game ever. So you, correct me if I'm wrong. So you hear music and then you have to know what the song is. Do you have to know the next lyrics? Tell us a little bit about what you do.
The song plays and it's kind of like, remember that old game, Simon? You have 4 choices. So there are 4 buttons. You look at the screen and the choices come on while Corinne plays the song. So you have to not only know the song, you have to know it the fastest. So it's a lot harder than it sounds.
It sounds hard. That sounds very hard, but also super fun. So tell us, so the game show was filmed in Ireland, correct?
Yes. Right.
And
yes, the game show was filmed in Ireland. We flew out
of Boston on a Wednesday and filmed on Friday and on Saturday. And just, they kept you very busy with meetings and wardrobe and this and that, but yeah.
that's great. And for those of you who are listening, you're not seeing Marlene's gorgeous face because she is driving on the way to the Cape. And I know you're all going to be shocked, but there's a lot of traffic. But don't worry, she's pulled over to the side of the road. Oh, look, there we have her gorgeous face. She's ready for
There we have her. There she is.
Hey, Marlene.
So, Carol,
Hello.
You said something that really got my attention, which is makeup and wardrobe. Tell me what it was like. Did they pick outfits? Did you bring things for them to approve of? I'm really fascinated by the process.
That was part of the process. Is they told us to send how many? 6 outfits? 6 different.
6 outfits. Yep.
And we had to send pictures and they had to approve them and they told us what to bring. And then when we got there, they picked out what we were going to wear.
That's exciting. Did you match? I didn't get a chance to watch the show. I couldn't tell from the picture.
We both had blue, but
I think we are originally matched.
Originally we did, but they changed my outfit.
Of course they did because they could. So that's great. And just so you know, Marlene is not driving. I wouldn't let her film and drive at the same time. So just in case that isn't obvious.
Oh gosh, no.
we would
not yes, no, I'm stopped. Yes.
So tell me how you practice, because obviously you went through extensive auditions. You went through a lot of work to prove that you were going to be able to perform well on the show. Tell us about the practice leading up to it.
Eileen and I practiced a lot. There's a Shazam app, which is what I think the show is based on. It can identify any song in like within 10 seconds or something like that, right? And so she put that on her phone, and I would play music from all different genres, all different decades, and we try to guess it as quickly as we can.
That's so fun. That's really great. Now tell us I know you won a lot of money. Tell us, did you do anything to what you won, and are you doing anything to splurge for each of you? Marlene, why don't we start with you? How are you using your winnings? Any special splurges?
Well, I'm going to buy myself a very nice piece of jewelry. But we didn't really win enough to splurge, but maybe a vacation trip and a nice piece of jewelry and maybe some vinyl siding.
You got to throw those practical things in there, right? You now know that every vinyl siding company in Woburn is going to be reaching out to you, Marlene.
Oh my goodness. Oh, it's not in Woburn and it's not in Massachusetts. It's
Carol,
in the state of Maine.
I love it. It's in Maine. Carol, do you have any special little thing that you're splurging on or doing for yourself with the winnings?
Marlene and I talked about maybe going back to Ireland so we could sightsee a little bit. I want to see a castle. That's all I wanted to do the whole time. And then I to go across and go over to England. But also my son passed away last January. So what I was thinking is part of it, I'd like to either do he was in a car accident. I'd like to set up some kind of maybe scholarship at high school if I can in his name. So I want to do something in his name.
Oh, well, that is lovely. And what a wonderful way to honor and remember him. That's
that's what I
sounds wonderful.
So I'd like to set something up like that. And then Marlene and I eventually would like to set up a drama school.
Ooh, this sounds interesting. I love it. So tell me a little bit when that moment came where you got that text that said, you're on the show. So you've passed all the auditions. We're flying you out to Ireland. What was going through your head in that moment?
It kind of went, they didn't just tell you definitely you're on it, because you could do things to get yourself not on it. Like if you got COVID, or if something happened and we couldn't make the trip, there were people ready to stand in. So it's just like they basically would say, yeah, you're coming. And then, I don't know, we got it. We didn't believe it until it got really close, I think. Right, Marlene?
Yeah, they never said we were 100% on. So, and I was like upset because I don't want to fly to Ireland to not be on a show. I don't want to be an alternate. If you know my personality and Carol's, we don't want to be alternates. We want to be on the show. So it wasn't until like the day before that we kind of figured out that we were on. And it was very exciting, you know, to be on the show. And it was like I say on the show, it was craziness. The whole thing from the time we landed till the time we filmed was just craziness. And we practiced and practiced and practiced as much as we possibly could on our downtime, and it paid off, Carol, correct?
It did.
You guys did amazing. You did amazing. I love it. What was Jamie Foxx like in person? Did you get to spend any time with him? Obviously taping, but out, you know, before, after, what was it like?
No, we didn't get to spend any time before or after with him, but he was very personable. Like it took so long.
Yes.
You know, there are a lot of breaks. You have to break down this and da-da-da. He would sing and talk to us. He was very nice. And like I said, his daughter was really nice too.
Oh, well, so sweet. I've had the
very at
pleasure
home
of doing a few commercials in my professional life. And, you know, what ends up being 3 minutes takes all day to do. And I think most of us don't realize that until you get in there and you are sitting around doing not a lot for a lot of the time.
For many hours, yes.
Yeah. So
can I tell you a funny story?
Please do, yes.
So while we are there, we do outfits. We take 1,000 pictures, Carol and I, and then they put us like in hair and makeup. And Carol was in hair and makeup for, I don't know, maybe almost an hour. I'll say makeup specifically 45 minutes. Well, then Marlene gets her call to get into the makeup chair and they said, we need her in 5 minutes. I said, well, wait a minute. How come Carol get 45 minutes and I only get 5? I was in and out of that chair in less than 10 minutes.
Oh, that is the funniest thing, but I bet you looked gorgeous. So,
It's so funny. It was so funny. It was like, okay, I guess so, whatever. I don't want to miss the show. So that was pretty funny. Yes.
That is a great story. When you left filming that day, you knew at that point how, that you'd won and you'd had a great time, a great session and you'd had some great success. What did you do right afterwards?
They make you go to, there's a different hotel it's the exit hotel. You don't go back to where you were before. You go to the exit hotel. So we went there and then we actually went out with the people we competed with in the hotel.
Oh,
Yes.
That's so lovely. That's awesome. Where were they from?
One was from
down
Connecticut.
south, and one was from down south.
Yes. So down south in Connecticut, the other teachers were from. And they were all very nice. And we just talked about the show and the experience and all that. And maybe had 1 or 2 refreshments. And that was it.
That's great. Well, you were in Ireland. They'd be disappointed if you didn't have at least a celebratory refreshment. So I love it. Before I let you go, Carol, why don't we start with you? Tell us a little bit about how you use music in the classroom and such. Do you ever use it?
I use it all the time, especially in the new school because we have the big smart board and I have all those speakers. It used to be the CDs, always have used music. I teach with music. I teach kindergarten. So there's a lot of singing, a lot of dancing. When things get tough, let's take a break. Let's have a dance party so everyone calms down, that kind of thing. But there's always music. Introducing music to, there's always all day. And Marlene and I do a drama show and we incorporate modern music as well as some oldies to introduce the children into, like plays you wouldn't believe we do it, right, Molly?
Yeah, so ditto to what Carol said, and I do the same thing. I teach 2nd grade, so whether it's math, it's phonics, it's whatever, or just break time, there's always music in my room. It could be oldies, it could be, pop that the kids know. And I'll give you an example. We did The Wizard of Oz, Carol, maybe 4 years ago. And we did some of the classics because you can't not do the classics, but like the introduction, we did like Riders on the Storm. When Glenda the Good Witch came out, we did like Tiny Bubbles and she had a bubble machine, things like that we like to incorporate to make it different. And people usually love our music. Yeah. Yes. We play, Back in Black for the witch, the bad witch. So we do add our own twist on things, which I think makes it interesting for people.
I think that sounds lovely. And I love the idea of letting the kids get the wiggles out because I think you need to, it's hard to sit still that long. I have a hard time sitting still that long, let alone if I was in kindergarten or 2nd grade. Remind us what schools you work at.
We both work at the Hurled Wyman.
Fantastic. Well, the Hurled Wyman is very, very lucky to have both of you there. Thank you for sharing your experience with us and giving us a little inspiration to go turn on some dinner music and such tonight. I know I'm going to do that. And Woburn, please continue to take good care of each other.